when you guys were forming ETW and getting the beginning of that together, what was the driving force that kind of made you guys say, hey, I think we can do this rap thing and I think we can reach people? What do you guys think, and how should we do this?
You know what? Actually, we started off at Oral Roberts University.
Mm-hmm.
It was myself, Elroy, and then a couple other people. We were students actually.
Right.
We were kind of putting in for it was basically just it was a talent show, and we just were putting together some things, basically inspired by Stephen Wiley, to be totally honest with you. It is around 85, 86, and we just say, hey, let's do the rap thing and do a gospel rap similar to what he was doing. But we actually lost the contest. Out of 10 contestants, we came in number 10. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, we started because we had about 6, 7 people in the group, and we would go out in the community of Tulsa and just do things, just free concerts wherever we did, because we just really wanted to do something for God. So when my school days ended, it dwindled down to the 3 of us, and because Mike joined the group a little later. And it dwindled down to the 3 of us. And then when we actually got the record contract in '89 with Forefront, that's when things kind of took off on a more professional level. But we were doing a lot of local things, local churches, prisons. We're doing it way before we.
I think we got up to so you guys, when you signed with Forefront, and then I kind of started losing you there.
Okay, yeah, I was mentioning we were doing a lot of ministry before Forefront. That was more of a blessing to extend what we really felt we needed to be doing, because we saw the effect of how the spoken word, how gospel music can transform lives just by, we would literally go out in the projects and just be doing stuff, you know what I mean? But to have it on a national scale where your music's all over the world was something that was just a major answer to prayer, but it extended what we were already doing.
And one of the things I noticed, like as you put out music, with Forefront and later on, the early music was kind of like more fun, more upbeat. Right. So was that more so to kind of like appease the label and appease your audiences as they got acclimated, to a hip hop group?
It was yes and no, because I think some of the production choices we would have had different. We didn't have a lot of control over that. Because, it's just the way we knew artists, we didn't have a lot of control over that. So I mentioned before, the first 2 projects, we didn't have as much say-so as far as production as we would have wanted to. And, so it wasn't until the 3rd album, you really got more of what the target audience we were really trying to reach, because those were the places we were actually going. We were going into public high schools, we were going into prisons. We were doing a lot of things with people who were dealing with real life situations. And not to say that the first 2 albums, there was some good songs in there. But we were, doing tours at the Gamo Key. We were doing things with more of a very, very much so Christian audience. But the last few years of our ministry, we did a lot of things that put us right in smack in the public. Like I said, public high schools opened up. You couldn't go in there saying Jesus, 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 but you could say, 40 in a blunt is what you want, you're gonna lose. You could say stuff like that. You could say things like, some of the things that we were rapping about, because those are the things they were really dealing with, and that's why it kind of geared in that direction. Plus, we have more control over our production. So it sounded a little bit more like what we actually sound like. If you saw us on the road, we would sound a little different than the actual album, because we ended up remixing a lot of the music, to fit the audience we were dealing with, So we have about 3 different sets, like the set at the home church in Kansas City someplace. So we had another set like on the street in Boston. We had another set if we're in a prison. We had 3 different sets. We're on tour, only to fit the audience that we were in front of.
Yeah, that totally makes sense, especially when you're dealing with like that delicate balance of like, okay, we're in a church here, we're in this is the type of people we're gonna have here. So did you feel though that music that you did that was more geared towards what you wanted to, and as you got further along, that dealt with more, I guess, more like real issues, do you felt that was more received, and that maybe the prior audience that kind of hung out for the more happy stuff kind of went back and your message was received by the people who needed it?
I think when we first came out, that's where we were, because with any group, there's a maturity as far as your writing, there's a maturity as far as your message. And where we were when we first started, we were demon slaying, you know, fight the devil. That's who we were. You know what I mean? That's what our message was, and that audience received it really well. But again, as we started really going out into mainstream dealing things, you kind of change your message in a way, not the effectiveness of the message, but a pinpointed strike of who you're really trying to speak to. You know what I mean? And that was because, like, you know, you couldn't walk into the ghetto and say Satan's canceled. They don't know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? But you can say that, you know, like I said, you smoking dope, all this kind of stuff. You can say that in a song, and at the end of the song, you're giving them Christ as an answer to the issues they're really dealing with. You know, because a lot of people point out the problems, and that's some of the issues that you dealt with for, like, I mean, like people gangster rappers, oh man, you know, it's messed up, this is the way that, but at the end of the deal, you're not giving an answer to how they're gonna get out of it. All they're gonna do is shake their head, yeah, man, you're right, but I'm still go back and smoke this joint because, you know, you're not giving me an answer, you're not giving me any type of solution to the issues that I'm really dealing with. So what we were trying to do is trying to present an issue, but come up with a solution at the end of it. Because usually at the end of our stuff, there's a solution. That solution always points to Christ. You know, ain't nobody dying but us. We're talking about issues with people, black on black crime. You know, yeah, people can glamorize, you know, oh yeah, you know, smoke this dude, all this kind of crazy stuff. When people really are dying, when people really are going to funerals, you know, it's a real thing. You know, when you actually going into the community talking about it, they know exactly what you're talking about. And at the end of the song, you're saying the only way you're really gonna get out of this lifestyle is through Christ. You know, you don't have to go down like that. So that's what I mean. The audience kind of changed because we were getting a more realistic, in your face type situations. We had to come up with something to shut up.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I've been asking everybody this, and kind of with Mic Drop, kind of setting the precedent of, you know, CHH and it being historical and what you guys doing being important. So when it's all said and done and people look back at your, you know, your career in music and E.T.W, like, what do you want your legacy to be? What do you want to be remembered as?
Honestly, this is very humbling, you know, because in the sense of you do things not so much because you want to have all this big accolades and recognition. That wasn't our purpose of doing. We were doing it because this is what God really put on our heart to do. But at the end of the day, if God's giving you a reward or giving you some type of recognition of what you did, it's very much so appreciated, because there was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that went into this. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, it feels good, you know, but at the same time, it's very humbling. You know, because we always went into it with a humble kind of thing, you know, because we said, in your humility, that's what God will put you in front of so many different people. You know, we went in there arrogantly, like, yeah, man, I deserve this, whatever, this and that. We probably wouldn't have gotten anywhere. But in humility, that's what God was allowing you to be in front of a lot of different people, a bigger audience than we probably would have ever thought of if we really tried to do this ourselves.